This is the Hovsco Sync Max 14. It folds actually here and here to become one of the smallest bikes I've ever reviewed. Does it perform? Let's get started.
Unboxing and assembling the Hovsco Sync was actually really easy to do. All I had to do was get the inner box out of the outer box and then cut the top of the inside box to get the bike out. At that point, I took off all of the styrofoam wrapping, put the handlebar neck assembly together by inserting the handlebars into the neck post and using a bunch of hex screws that came with the packing itself. Then I tested the bike, making sure the electricals were running well, checked every part of the folding mechanisms to make sure those are put on. I also added the seat and the pedals, and then I decided I'd make sure I put in some flat out tire sealant in both the front and the rear tires to make sure I didn't get any flats while we were riding the bike. Once that was done, pumped up the tires, again checked the electricals, make sure everything was running nice and smooth, ready for tomorrow's ride, and I was ready to go.
All right, so we're gonna walk up and step right up to this Hovsco Sync Max 14-inch to really find out, can something this small perform really well? As you start, let's actually start with the back of the bike here and take a look at this motor that we have. It actually does give us some description on exactly what kind of motor we're looking at. Okay, so we have a 36 volt, 450 watt motor here. So that's a lot larger than some of the competition or some of the other ones that we've seen out there. And if you notice, even the size of the motor for a 14-inch rim, this is a pretty big size motor. And I think one of the reasons being is not only does this put out 450 watts, but it also has electronic braking inside. Now, it's not to be confused with regenerate braking where it actually sends power back into the battery to recharge it. But what it does mean is that when you even hit the front brake, that this actually back hub has an electronic brake inside of it that the motor helps to slow you down. But do you really need it? I don't know, because it actually has a pretty decent disc brake back here anyway, and that's a mechanical disc brake. So as a rear motor and rear disc brake and front brake actually bring you to a stop, this bike can actually stop pretty quick, and it actually does put some nice streak marks on the ground if you do hit the brakes pretty quickly. Now, as one of the folding components on this, I'm going to go ahead and show that these pedals actually are folding pedals as well. So it does bring in the bike pedal width quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and fold this side down too, and then so that way you can actually see how thin this bike can really get. So from this angle here, that's the maximum width that you see, and I believe it's just like only about a little under a foot wide. From this side to this side, you're only looking at about a foot wide. The other cool thing about this bike here is from front to back, it's just under 4 feet. It's something like 46 inches all the way from the front tire all the way to the back tire. The full length is about 46 inches, which means it'll fit in anything that's under 4 feet. Most cars, easily in the back seat of the car. The other reason being is that this seat is, because of the seat curve in this post here, if I take this off, open this up, take this off, now this is the seat post itself, which is kind of small. I mean, there's not a lot of height, so just keep that in mind. Something about this bike is that you do not get a lot of height out of it because of the seat post being as short as this is. It's a little stubby thing back there. So, but if you take out the seat and you throw it in the back seat as well, or in your trunk, because the seat post is so low, and because this is a folding bike, by bringing this down, we're going to do this here. Look how low this bike is now. And I don't exactly remember the whole height here, but I mean, you can obviously tell maybe about 2 feet tall. That's maybe a little higher, but as thin as this bike gets, because if you do also bring this all the way in, you can have a bike that's just this thin already. Okay, the handlebar width is not going to be an issue as another factor, but on top of that, what I'm going to show you here is it's also a good opportunity for you guys to see how small this bike folds in half. So it's already folded. Now it's only like 40 pounds or something really light, and you can just pull this up, pop this open here. That's the switch, and position this the right way, and then with that you can fold the bike in half. Which is the best place to put the pedal? Probably here. So we can just fold the bike in half. This on the outside. Actually, it's always better for me to fold the bike in half when the handlebars are still up first. So I'm going to fold this in half here. Has a little stand on the bottom as well. And once that's done, then you pull this out, fold this down, and this goes over the back wheel. In fact, let me go ahead and show you this on this side. So it's folded with the handlebars over the back wheel, bringing it as close as possible here. And actually, if I take out my water bottle, you even get a little smaller so that you can smoosh all the way in. All right, so we have an exceptionally thin bike, and let me go ahead and show you what this looks like from here. Almost call it a pocket bike. This is super small, very thin bike. You can throw it into a trunk, put it in the back seat. I don't know about under your bed, but definitely put it in a closet if you wanted to, and you could just jump up and get ready to go in no time. We'll go ahead and put this back up. This comes up here. There's a double locking mechanism. Put that here, put that in there, that double locks it. Then all you'd have to do is unfold the bike just by lifting that up here. These are always a little tricky with the pedals. So put the pedals so we have room for this to clear here. And because the bike is so light, makes it a lot easier. Snap that in here. Once that's snapped in, I'll put my water bottle back in. And I made sure that the front latch is already latched in. So let's go ahead and take a look at this latching here. There's a double locking latching mechanism here. So this goes into here to lock this. And once that's in place, you can just pull that down or lock it in place there. You can see it has semi-integrated wiring going into the neck here, coming out back into the frame here. And this is, I think it's IPX5. You know, it's not gonna really hurt the bike too much if you ride it in some light rain that's out there. I would never ride it in something that's gonna be super wet. Put this in here. In fact, let me go ahead and show you, just go ahead and tighten that up. And that will lock the seat in place there. And you see, it's just a single speed here. So this small little sprocket. Then we have a small sprocket in the front as well. And this is just a full change ride system. I mean, they could have used the belt, but you know, at $499, it's a really good deal for something that you might want this small. And the reason why I think also it has some pretty cool features than maybe some of its competition is it actually has a digital display. Holding this down a few seconds, the display kicks on, and it is actually, the frame rate of my camera is causing this flickering to happen, but it is a very steady display. When you turn on the headlight, all it does is take a single push. The headlight goes on, there's an indicator here, and it has an integrated headlight, which is really bright. This morning when we went for our ride, it was still dark out, or lightly dark out, and even after I put the bike and I tested it last night after putting it together, this headlight is actually surprisingly bright. But what's also really cool is that it also, for a bike this small, has an integrated tail light. So this tail light here, as you can see, does have some lighting on it. And then let's go ahead and make sure that I'm going to go ahead and pull the brake. And then we have a blinking light that goes on. So you have your blinker type light steady on when the headlight is on as well. And then if I were to turn off the light, then there is no light when the headlight's not off, but it still has its blinking light here. So you have integrated brake light, which is something that's a little unique for something this small to have like that kind of technology that's built in. And there is a 7 amp hour battery in here with a range of about 30 miles is what they claim. Now, we went on a 7-mile ride today. Oh, it's up to 9 miles now. This was fully charged at 0 before, and we only took down about 40% of the bars. So maybe it could be about a third. I don't know. 30 miles could be. It's hard to say if it's going to be really a full amount of riding distances of 30 miles. You'd probably have to be pedaling a bit. And of course, it's going to depend on how heavy you are. We did have John on it for half the ride, about half the ride home. He was on it, and he's about 200 pounds. So we could see. Now, one of the things that you need to take note of here is the distance between the handlebars and the seat. The seat is pretty comfortable. I'm going to say that first. It's soft, and it has a good amount of cushion on it. But the distance between here, amongst other mini bikes, is that Hovsco has a very short limited distance here. And on the box, I did see that it says for ages 12 plus and above. Please be sure that you check your local regulations and your state laws, basically, because I don't know. There's a lot of states that I live in, I think they're going to limit now e-bikes to only adults only. So even though this bike is sized for someone who's about a 12-year-old, really well, would fit them well. At 5'5", I was able to ride it. John at 6 feet, he was able to ride it too. He did find that it was very close and that his knees would pretty much hit the handlebars if he tried to pedal. But keep in mind, with your knees this close at someone who's 6 feet, almost hitting the handlebars, you're not really going to pedal this bike a lot. This bike is really almost like a walking assistance bike. It's a lot of fun. The only other thing is that it goes a lot faster than one of these regular walking assistance scooters that are out there. This bike does have the capability of going up to 20 miles an hour. And with these electronics here, you can see that it says M here for medium. By double clicking, it goes to H, now you have high, and it'll go up to the high speed. I believe it's up to 17 miles an hour. And by clicking single, it turns the headlight on and off. So if you double click, it goes to medium, double click again, goes down to low. And then between each level that you're moving up, then you have a top max speed of a different level. So let's say I'm going to lean the bike off now. At low, you have a 4 mile an hour top speed, as you can see there. And then what we're going to do is I'll show you, double click. At a medium, we now have a 11 mile an hour top speed. All right, and then I'm going to double click again, and this then goes up to, it says 21, 22. Now, I'm going to have to double check with that when we actually do the ride footage, or if we've already seen the ride footage. Those were the top speeds that we're saying, 21, 22. I don't know how accurate this is right now because I haven't compared the ride footage GPS against this. But when we were testing some other bikes and I was telling John to maintain a certain speed, and he was doing it, and it seemed as though we were pretty accurate on the speeds that we were trying to achieve at based on what it said. Now, I also want to talk about the tires being 14-inch with 2.125 size tires. These actually are decent enough so that you do feel as though it feels more like a bike-ish than a scooter, because some of the smaller bikes that actually have smaller tires almost feel scooterish. The only difference is sitting on a seat like this and then having a frame between your legs does help add a little more stability, I guess you would say. And this bike, the battery is integrated into the frame here, so you do not have the ability to go ahead and pull out the battery, take it upstairs, because you don't need to really. You can take the whole bike upstairs if you want to charge it upstairs in, say, like an apartment or a condo. It's small enough to do that. These flip down pedals, again, make it also pretty much smaller. Very easy to put them back out here. And I would say the handlebars here, nice size brakes. These feel really good. The integration of this part here is pretty clean. I also did notice that there is a level that goes up and down in this area when you're riding. I want to see if we can see that again. You can see there's a 1 bar that goes, and at certain times when you're actually rolling, you'll actually see this start to go up. You have all these other small indicators as well, like the light, the walk mode. There's a Bluetooth connection on this that could go to your phone and the app, and if we do have some footage on that, I'll go ahead and put that next. The other thing is that these do have actually motor cutoffs, so it also does probably activate the motor braking, both sides here. So as soon as, if you are pedaling and you hit the brake a little bit, it'll actually take it off. It's not the brake, disc brake holding it up, it's the actual motor. Oh, since you can actually see there's a little motor symbol right at the top. There's a little motor symbol that pops up there. So we have a couple of different features for a small mini bike that you won't really find in a lot of others. In fact, there's some other small mini bikes, the competition doesn't even have a screen at all. And you're kind of just guessing with some LED lights that are going. It does have also a thumb throttle, which is a little different because a lot of the other competition, most of them actually have twist throttles. Also the water bottle holder here, this is not part of the bike. It was something that I decided to go ahead and add on because there is really no water bottle place. I guess I could have put one under here, which is kind of cool if you think about it, or on the back side. These water bottle bags can be mounted in multiple places, and I have had some in the back seat mounting here, but you could put one here. I like it up on the top here. My knee did hit once in a while if I tried to pedal too much or too fast, or I was leaning too much forward, but this worked out pretty well for me. I would recommend getting it. You can get these at the ebikeproducts.com website by going to ebikeproducts.com/shop, and you can find one of those water bottle bags. They fit on almost any e-bike that's out there, since a lot of e-bikes don't seem to have water bottle cage bosses anywhere on here. This is the Hovsco Sync Max 14. Everything that you see here pretty much comes in the bike all in one piece. The assembly of the handlebars, if you saw the assemble unboxing, that have to be put on there. Super easy to do. Just add a couple of screws around here. I would recommend going through any bike, and including this one, just to make sure all nuts and bolts are all tightened up. I just had to install also the pedals. That was very minor, sticking on this here, and that was pretty much it. There is a big sign that actually does come with the bike to make sure you check the tires. We did put flat out tire sealant into these tires to make sure we didn't get any flats as well. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. If you're too tall for this, it might not be a bike for you. You might want to think about a regular size bike, but if you do need one that'll fit in an RV or in a dorm room or an apartment. In fact, we were talking about how we might actually remove the pedals and just put pegs, you know, just because you don't need to pedal this that often. But if the battery ever does die, you could pedal it. It's actually a very easy bike to pedal because it's so light, and you could carry it upstairs. The Hovsco Sync Max 14, you can check it out at ebikeproducts.com/Hovsco. Again, that's ebikeproducts.com/Hovsco. It'll take you directly to the Hovsco website, to the Sync page. It might be a affiliate link, and these might pay out commissions. And if you do happen to use that link to purchase this bike, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.